You know, retirement is a much simpler goal when you stop buying stupid crap you don't need. Like those 3 dates worth of dinner and movies for nothing but a kiss on the cheek. Weh? All you need is this book, and you can learn how to retire on $200K in Southeast Asia. Use the promo code POP for 10% off to begin your exodus from entitled Western whammon and set course for financial freedom. A link is in the description.
What's going on, you fiery but peaceful protesters? Terrence Popp here, Redonkulas.com.
And broadcasting from the juicy center of your mom's Bermuda Triangle, I'm Toxic Male.
Bad Pop showed up today because apparently I'm wrong about everything. Wah. If you've been watching my Live from the Lair series, I've done a minimum of half a dozen about the upcoming Boogaloo situation. Well, apparently, I shouldn't be doing that because it could never happen here. Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about, because nothing like that has ever happened in this country before, right? I gotta ask, when was the last time one of you keyboard warriors out there picked up a book and didn't burn it? Screen 5.
Do not adjust your eyes. Leftists are burning Harry Potter books now because the author, J.K. Rowling, has the audacity to believe in chromosomes. Weh? Remind you of anything in particular?
Are you one of those millennials out there who thinks the Titanic was just a movie where $1 million gem was lost and some dude went for a swim permanently? You've been spending too much time on the floor at the library listening to Drag Queen Story Hour. Well, I got a hint for you. Pick up a history book on your way out. They're free. Or are you one of the people out there that actually believes articles like this?
Trump frequently accuses the far left of inciting violence, yet right-wing extremists have killed 329 victims in the last 25 years, while Antifa members haven't killed any, according to a new study.
I think it's safe to say we have a lot of debunking to do here. And we have a lot of crimson capsules to hand out. So pour yourself the menagerie. It won't be as good as mine, and be prepared to choke on the brutal truth.
Yeah.
First, we're going to debunk this study published by the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Or we'll go by the acronym CISIS. They claim the same thing that Donna Lamone has been saying, so obviously you have to trust them.
We have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized right, to the right.
Oh, it feels like someone's sticking a butcher knife in my thinking meat. Space Ghost. Now keep in mind that this study is basically covering data over a 25-year period, from 1994 to 2019. Isn't it convenient how that worked out?
I don't know about you guys, but I don't find it strange at all that this study begins after the first World Trade Center attack in 1993 and just before the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing.
Oh, no, I'm sure that is, what do you call it? Oh, that's right, a coinky-dink. This is how the left operates when they want to lie by omission. Take a look at this chart based on this study in The Guardian. Such an accurate news source, am I right? Cheers.
Fact check. Left-wing violence in the United States.
0 victims killed in anti-fascist attacks since 1994. 21 victims killed in left-wing violence since 2010, 95 victims killed in jihadi violence since 2010, 117 victims killed in right-wing violence since 2010, 329 victims killed in right-wing violence since 1994.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Can you spot the lies? I knew you could! but let's go through them together.
0 deaths from Antifa since 1994? Wow, how stunning and brave. Well, considering they only took root in the US in 2016, I would call that stat a massive fail. Not to mention a lie. Just this year, as of June 15th, we had over 431 officers injured or killed by the far left, and that number doesn't include civilians. Whoopsies!
21 victims of left-wing violence since 2010? Well, we just debunked that. And why exactly are we stopping at 2010 for a study that goes all the way back to 1994?
I think I can smell shite.
95 victims killed in jihadi violence since 2010? Right. We all know why they won't take that stat all the way back to 1994. Well, you can see where we have some issues here now, can't you? Last on the list, 329 deaths killed by right-wing violence since 1994. That looks really bad for us. Well, at least until you realize it's a straight-up lie. When you look at the methodology that they use for this study, the source that they use most for this information, the Anti-Defamation League.
Isn't it ironic that they would rely so heavily on an organization that's been consistently and successfully sued for the same thing they claim to stand against? I mean, seriously, what is up with that? Does the left pick these names on opposite day? I'm just asking for a friend.
They're currently being sued by a cartoonist for $10 million. Back in 2000, they lost another $10 million to another couple. And that was a record-setting judgment in the state of Colorado.
And in 1993, 15 civil rights groups and 7 individuals all filed a federal lawsuit against the ADL for civil and privacy rights violations. Guess who settled that suit out of court?
So basically, the ADL and defamation, well, they go together like peaches and cream, peanut butter and chocolate, or Clintons and Epsteins. Screen 5. So, right out of the gate, we know we can't trust this study, but it gets better. Of the 900 politically motivated incidents, wouldn't it surprise you to know that not even one of them is listed? Which means they can't be fact-checked. Ain't that a female breeding dog? I feel like I'm hosting an infomercial here, and I can't help but say it. But wait, there's more!
Why be stuck inside with a morbidly obese Heffalo during this pandemic when you can lock yourself in with Uncle Nick Tyrella, the womanizing misanthrope who gets off when you're pissed off? Wee? Follow the adventures of Uncle Nick as he goes back to college and drops truth bombs behind the enemy lines of social justice warriors. A link is in the description.
Their own methodology includes threats of violence as attacks, even if the whole thing shakes out to be nothing more than a hoax. In other words, Juicy Smollett and Bubba Wallace, they are still included as right-wing terrorist attacks, even though they never happened.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
And those two idiots, they're the tip of the iceberg that sank the real Titanic, if you know what I mean. I have a list of 21 hate crime hoaxes for you to enjoy, links in the description. That is deliberate and artificial manipulation of the data. And why is that, you ask? Well, to push an agenda, of course. They also do this by changing the definition of words and casting out huge nets to bump up those rookie numbers.
For example, this study includes any incident tied to misogyny, hatred based on gender or sexuality, and opposition to certain policies, such as abortion, then classifies all of them as right-wing extremism.
And whatever those certain policies are, well, that's anyone's guess because they never explain it. In the military, I referred to that as tactical vagueness or strategic unawareness. And that will be Chapter 2 in, you guessed it, administrative violence, and that'll be a whole new webinar. Stay tuned. Oh, I almost forgot. They're including incels in right-wing extremism. Never mind the fact that the two biggest groups of incels are women over 40 and male wage gap enthusiasts. Screen 5. So basically, to paint the very skewed picture of reality, Thiefeth threw out this huge net where these attacks could be almost anything. Even if they never happened, they would still be counted to make us evil who-ities look bad. Because, we have all the power and we need to check our privilege, right? Wah, shut up.
How remarkably fair and balanced and unbiased of them. Wah.
On the flip side, the definition of teriyaki-ism, as it's applied to the religion of peace, is very rigid, and these attacks have to be attributed to a specific group or they're not counted at all.
And this is just one example of Thiefeth attempting to pardon the religion of peace and the far left from multiple atrocities while simultaneously pawning their own crimes off at the feet of conservatives. For example, their own methodology states that any and all crimes inspired by racial or ethnic supremacy are exclusively right-wing, which leaves them free to shift the blame for identitarian crimes, Black Lives Matter, over to the people who, actually pay taxes and work for a living?
Yes, I can definitely smell shite.
And all of this is coming from a supposed bipartisan think tank. Yeah, right. And it gets worse. 2 other studies came out around the same time that spew the same crap. And when I say the same time, they came out late June 2020.
And I'm sure the timing had absolutely nothing to do with some stunning and brave, deadly and destructive, peaceful protests that are still ongoing.
It's not like those are making the left look bad or anything. Oh, look, Space Ghost is on. But these other studies, if it's possible, are even worse. The New America Foundation and the Center for Investigative Reporting did their own research on this subject. And in their fantasyland, lone wolf attacks, well, they just simply don't exist. Washington mall shooter? Oh, it never happened. Esteban Santiago dropped 5 people for ISIS? Never happened.
What about the Beltway snipers who killed 10 people in 2001? The Muslim migrant who stabbed 2 dudes in Minnesota in 2017? The teenage mecha kneeler who planned a mass murder in Texas and then confessed to the whole thing?
Good morning.
Because, by their own methodology, even if it's a hoax, you still have to include it. Except they don't. Not one of these acts of teriyaki-ism appears in any of these studies.
Oh. Not only are these definitions completely redonkulous, they don't even follow their own rules. Are you ready for this? Anti-government statements are now right-wing. Get out of here! It's not like we've been hearing a lot of those from anyone. If I walk up to Nancy Pelosi and shake the weave right out of her head while yelling, "I hate Congress," that makes me a right-wing extremist now. But a stunning and brave person of color could do the exact same thing and it wouldn't be counted, even if they're yelling "Aloha snack bar wah."
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if these researchers watched videos like this and called it right-wing extremism anyway, despite all the BLM signs and that disgusting cocktail stench of quim and soy. Blech.
You think I'm reaching? Well, I am. But only for some booze. And while I'm pouring a new shot, please go to redonkulas.com/donate and send us a couple bucks and sign up for your exclusive content.
The world does not cater to intelligent people. It revolves around the lowest common denominator. And that's why most humans are easily manipulated sheeple who will put up with anything as long as they get their lard-fried burgers from a hole in the wall, free porn, and 2-day shipping. Curse of the High IQ dives into what it's like having your mind held hostage by boring idiots in the rat race of humanity. The cheese is in the description.
Gavin Long. If you don't know who he is, let me introduce you. Check this out. He was a stunning and brave man of color who killed 3 cops in Louisiana. He was a vowed BLM dude who tweeted support for Micah Johnson. You know, the dude who smoked 5 cops at another BLM rally? Both these guys are as left as you can get. Guess how these crimes were categorized? Far-right extremism! Let's drink.
I would say that you can't make this stuff up, but clearly you can. And these spinsters probably got paid a lot of money to do it.
They're literally taking far-left crimes and calling them far-right, based on fabricated, unevenly applied definition of teriyakiism. These are not studies. This is weapons grade bullshit!
Professor Andrew Holt said it the best. Right-wing teriyakiism is more deadly for Americans only if you add a number of very limiting parameters such as excluding the victims of 9/11, may they rest in peace, and ignoring lone wolf attacks without solid connections to certain groups. But if you lift those limitations and apply equal standards, then the raw, unfiltered number of deaths of Americans due to the religion of peace in the United States over the last 15 years dwarfs the numbers attributable to the right wing by a ratio of over 62 to 1. Some would call that definitive, and I would call these studies debunked.
I have to ask, after almost 4 months of burning, looting, and murdering, is there any doubt where the threat is coming from?
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
Burn it down! Burn it down!
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome.
They're not, this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not gonna stop. And everyone beware.
How many people have to die before you lefties out there will wake up? How many billions of dollars in damages do you usually see from a peaceful protest? How many people have to be evacuated from their homes because of fire started by climate change? But the fires mysteriously stop at the Mexican and Canadian borders. So, to all the people out there who are saying this, Pop, you are full of crap. You don't know what you're talking about. It is absolutely clear from the evidence at hand that the insurrection has begun. We are no longer in the destabilization phase. That has been going on since the 60s. With the introduction of no-fault divorce, the welfare state, and the Department of Education, this has destroyed the nuclear family, which has been the building block of every civilization ever. It also drastically increased government power because, you know, that always makes everything better. And it brought self-avowed Marxists into our schools to teach our children to hate themselves and their country. Leftism is a poison, and it's turning us all against each other. We all know it. We can all see it. And what is the media saying?
President Trump wants to go on and sit there for an hour and lie about Portland and Seattle and Kenosha and New York City. What I don't get is why these primetime stars allow it and why management allows it. The president tonight is saying that all of Portland's been on fire for years. Everyone who lives in Portland knows that's a lie.
Mr. Stelter, you're not fooling anyone. Go home to your husband. And while you're at it, give him a beer and a BJ because he earned it. Do it now. If that dude is a straight journalist, I'm a sober priest. Screen 5. The media and the left are gaslighting the entire country, and they're using fake studies to do it. That's why they love to say that the educated people always vote Democrat. You haven't been educated. You've been brainwashed and you're just too stupid to see it. And because you were so dumb you didn't ask for the receipts, Most of you are going to stay that way. I just hope enough of you wake up before we progress to the next stage. Because destabilization is just the beginning. Right now, we're in the sabotage phase. Next up on the freight train to hell, two-way rifle range. And despite what some of you out there might think, I do not want that. I have been on the receiving end of loud bangs and not the ones you pay for in Tijuana. I looked down the sights of weapon systems at the deadliest prey, and I did not enjoy it. This whole country needs to push away from the table and not accept the second helping of stupid. Because to be completely honest, it's making you even lazier and fatter. Space Ghost. And if you're still not convinced that the political side that's burning your cities to the ground, defunding your police, and then complaining about it,
accusing our president of undermining confidence in our institutions, all while forcing an untested and provably fraudulent voting system down your throats, destroying the economy by politically weaponizing an unspecified illness of unknown origin against all of us while showing us that they clearly don't even believe it's deadly themselves,
calling for more riots, more destruction, and yet more radicalization.
Let this moment radicalize you.
If you still think that these people care about you and have your best interest at heart, there is no hope for you. If you still think that the man who gave us one of the best economies ever and wants to protect our borders is orange and bad and gross, you need medication. And now that RBG has finally kicked the bucket, may she rest in peace, hopefully we will not need RPGs.
If they ever try to replace RBG, we burn the entire fiacking thing down.
Speaking as an American who loves his country, go ahead and try it. See what happens. I guarantee you will not like the outcome. Pathetic losers usually don't. But even if they do try, you know who's not going to be on the front lines? Riza, Aslan, A-hole, whatever the hell this soybean's name is. He'll be hiding at home eating gluten-free snacks and thumbjacking his poop chute waiting for a response from his boyfriend experience on OnlyFans because, like all leftists, he expects everyone else to do the real work while he sulks in the dark waiting for someone to like his tweets.
Make no mistake, this is going to get way worse before it gets better. If it gets better. So buckle up, biatches, and get ready for a bumpy ride. And I know there's people out there who are going to do everything they can to turn off their thinking meat and tune me out. And you're gonna say, what the hell does he know? He's just some drunk army grunt. Well, you'd be right. But I do not have a drinking problem. I have problems, so I drink. Space Ghost.
She took meat deliveries into the warehouse.
She delivered to like the whole Royal Oak Fire Department.
She got a few legs of lamb cramped into that freezer space, if you know what I mean. Well, they had to use the hoses to put her out.
to wash her out. Of course, those are just rumors.
Those are just rumors. I'm not saying allegedly.
I'm not saying this actually happened. These are rumors. I can't prove anything.